summer, it's not just a drink. It's an American original. Tasting great since '48 and still bringing the bold citrus kick you love. Now it's time to celebrate with limited edition American Dew. Grab a Dew, scan your can, and you could win weekly cash prizes all summer long. Click the screen to learn more. Mountain Dew, born in America, sourced and enjoyed worldwide.
Sing to you. worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior. the Savior's love through the storm. He is Lord, Lord of all. When he shall come with trumpet sound, oh, may I then in him be found, dressed in his righteousness alone, faultless stand before the throne, faultless stand before the throne. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love through the storm. He is Lord, Lord of all. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love through the storm. He is Lord, Lord of all.
people who are begging for their food, and the ones who pass them by in business suits. Everybody has your heartbeat. Every sunset is a stained glass window. Every park bench is a view. There's a view. There's a sanctuary everywhere that I go.
Good morning. For anyone here who was here when I preached here before, you can take a big exhale. I will not be speaking today. I'm excited to have the chance to watch my brothers and their children talk about my father today, and it's going to be a blessing for me. And I just wanted to start by thanking you all for taking part of your Monday to honor my father in this way. And to thank you in advance for what I know you're going to be able to do and not even think about it, to care for and serve my mother. Don Calhoun Genry returned to his heavenly home on Wednesday, June the 3rd, 2026, in Birmingham, Alabama. He was born in Brantleyville, Alabama, on January 19th, 1938. Don was well known for a sound sense of direction and a few other things. Once at age 6, when he was separated from his family at a parade in downtown Birmingham, he walked and hitchhiked for 30 miles to get back home in rural Brantleyville. He graduated from Thompson High School in 1956 and married his high school sweetheart, Shirley, on August the 17th, 1957. She was 17 and he was 19. Don joined the National Guard shortly after high school and served as a mechanic. His career began in the automotive industry, and he worked in car dealerships in Orlando, Florida for several years. He was then a loyal employee at IBM, working in Orlando and later in Birmingham as a parts accountant for 27 years until he retired in 1992. Don became a Christian in 1959, following the example of his wife, Shirley, and devotedly served the church for the rest of his life. He was a beloved song leader, passionate both in worship assembly and in his own living room. And he served as an elder of the Riverchase Church of Christ here in Hoover for many years. Don is reunited in death with his father, John Henry Genry, and his mother, Alice Ann Brantley Genry, his sister, Vera Genry England, and his brothers, Hayward, Ellsworth, Perry, and Travis Genry. He is survived by his devoted wife of almost 69 years, Shirley Ann Bearden Genry of Helena, Alabama. His sons, Chris, yours truly, and you can strike that and just write number one son. I don't know if I'll ever get used to not hearing him call me number one son. And I should just say to my brothers, that was an order of birth thing. He loved his sons, all three of us, so deeply. Tim and his wife Tammy of Helena, Scott and his wife Kathy of Dahlonega, Georgia. He was delighted to be called Papa by his grandchildren, Caleb and his wife Lauren, Colby, Lacey Genry Johnson and her husband Kyle, Landon and his wife Alyssa. And if there's anything that could be done to make me feel older today, my nephew Landon is a daddy. Lainey and Alexandra Genry and his great-grandchildren, Randy Beckham and Haven Genry, Bradford and Chapman Johnson, and Walker Calhoun Genry. Family was everything to my dad, and we're all blessed by that.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. It is a hard day, but your presence makes it better, and we really are honored that you're here. To know my dad and to try to honor him, there are a couple things I need to do to get ready, so bear with me. If you ever knew my dad, then you'd know that in one pocket he always carried a handkerchief, which we're probably going to need today. I'm thankful, Dad, for that, because I didn't have one without that. In the other pocket, he always carried a pocket knife, and I too carry a pocket knife everywhere I go, only because of my dad. And we are here at Riverchase, which for many of you, this may feel unusual, but this is where we worship when I went to Riverchase. I was baptized in the storage closet, and all of my memories are here. The chairs are significantly darker. But Dad always wore a name tag, and I wasn't sure which one was current, so I just grabbed several to make sure I was okay here. He loved peanuts. I don't know if you spent enough time around him to see what he would snack on, but the man ate peanuts like nobody I know. He would eat them raw. So I have my peanut socks on, and you may have seen his peanut tie, but deep down on this end, he too is wearing peanut socks. So we did coordinate today. For those who knew him outside of the church building, this was a staple. I don't know how many kids we have here who are under the age of about 10 or 12, but for at least one day, the Candyman is back. So for anybody who has a small child, find me. The charge is you have to tell me your name, and I get a hug, and then you get a piece of candy. Before we get started, okay, we can go now. I really am thankful that you're here. I know my sister-in-law is really worried about the time, and in honor of my cousin Rita, I will tell you that I'm the youngest. You see, Chris is the oldest. He makes the rules. Tim is the middle. He's the reason that we have rules. And I am the youngest. Rules don't apply to me. So, I've thought of a lot of things about Dad, and I really do want to be respectful of your time, but I want to tell you a couple of things that's come to, as a child growing up, some things about my dad that were He loved music, loved to sing. Obviously, we'll talk about that some more. But he loved country music. He loved music with stories, and it resonated with me. And so over the last few days, I've thought about old songs, Daddy's Hands. Really unique experience for me. Obviously my dad is the first to pass away in our immediate family, and I was drawn to his hands because those hands taught me so much. And I thought of that song, and just the chorus where Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand that there was always a love in Daddy's hands. And I felt that so strongly. Dad loved you guys. He loved us. He loved this church. He loved people, and he was quick to forgive and fast to love. If you needed a hug, it's all off. Let's just hug. And he would hug it out. And I loved that about him. I also thought about a much sadder song. Conway Twitty had a song in the 80s called That's My Job. And so I'm going to try to hold it together this morning and do my job. But please bear with me as we talk through some of these things and as we sing this first song. Another thing my dad loved was nicknames. I don't know if you got to experience this, but if he couldn't quite call your name, you were Geraldine. And if he thought he knew you well, you were Geraldine Holzenbeck. You're not quite sure where that came from, but that was a go-to, so much so that the hospice nurse is now in my phone as Shannon, quote-unquote, Geraldine, and we'll always embrace that name because by the time she became our nurse, he couldn't remember names anymore, but he could remember Geraldine. If you were a girlfriend, you were the sweet patootie, and Mom hated that, so she was not the sweet patootie. But if I had a girlfriend, she was my sweet patootie. Mom was Sam or Cuz, and none of us have any idea where those came from. But he loved nicknames. My nickname was Scout Boy, and so much so that my nieces and nephews all call me Scout Boy. I am not Uncle Scott, and I'm thankful for that because now you're the only ones left to call me Scout Boy. My dad also called me Jabbo Jeeber. And I don't know where that came from either, but for a long time, that seemed to be my name. He had things that I'm going to call Donisms, just things he said. And this morning, I was trying to say what my dad said, and I couldn't, because he would say it so fast I couldn't get the words, but Mom knew all the words. So I'm going to do my best to tell you what my dad would say if it was a good morning. He would say, good morning this morning, fine morning this morning. If in the morning it's as good a morning as this morning, it'll be a fine morning in the morning. And he would say that over and over again. But he was a morning person, and he was a happy man. And he would spout that off, and then he had these other fun little isms. If something was worthless, wasn't worth the snap of your finger. If it was cold, then you might be freezing your noo-noo. If a car didn't have much power, then that car wouldn't pull the hat off your head. If something was really true and he wanted to emphatically say that's true, he would say, I hope shout in your ear. Don't have any idea why. That doesn't make sense, but it was universal. And he was famous for making very profound statements. One of our favorites in my immediate family was, good peas are good. Think about that for a second. Other things, I remember his whistling. The man could whistle any tune, and he was great at it. That was one of his skills. And every morning, you would hear him whistling while he was getting ready, and you knew he was coming to breakfast because it would get louder as he was coming down the hall. He called every year on my birthday to sing happy birthday. And if you were close, or if he just happened to know it was your birthday, you might get a call, and he would sing happy birthday. I've seen my father lead singing at the Concord Street Church of Christ in Orlando, Florida, at the Keystone, or now Pelham Church of Christ here in Pelham, at the Homewood Church of Christ here at the Riverchase Church of Christ, at singings such as the Diana singing or local singings that were hosted in various different places. I don't know where all we went, but at family events, at campfires, in the car, sitting in his recliner listening to music on the television, while others were singing on the radio, and yes, funerals. Lots of funerals. And so we're going to sing. If you spend a little time in the Bearden family, you'll learn two things. When we get married, we play Always. Y'all keep me straight on this. We play Always. If you don't, we're not quite sure you're married. And at funerals, we sing Walking Alone at Eve. And I got elected. So I'm going to lead to this side because I can't look at these guys while we do this, and I'm going to need your help to get through this song. But it is a farewell that is universal almost in our family. So we will start with that one. And I want you to know that when you're compared to greatness, it is humbling. Compared to Michael Jordan, I am an awful basketball player. Compared to Peyton Manning, I'm a terrible quarterback. Well, compared to Peyton Thorne, I'm a terrible quarterback. So that says something about my quarterbacking. But compared to my dad, I am awful at what we're about to do. So bear with me. And of course, there are 3 flats in this song, so it'll take me a moment, but I will try to get us on pitch. If I can figure out where I put it. Here it is. I'm good for about a verse, and after that, help me out. We're going a little faster. Walking alone at eve and viewing the skies afar, bidding the darkness come to welcome each silver star. I have a great delight in the wonderful scenes above. God in his power and might is showing his truth and love. Oh, for a home with God, a place in his courts to rest, sure in a safe abode with Jesus and the blessed. Rest for a weary soul, once redeemed by the Savior's love, where I'll be pure and whole and live with my God above. Sitting alone at eve and dreaming the hours away, watching the shadows falling now at the close of day. God in his mercy comes with his word, he is drawing near, spreading his love and truth around me and everywhere. Oh, for a home with God, a place in his courts to rest, sure in a safe abode with Jesus and the blessed. Rest for a weary soul, once redeemed by the Savior's love, where I'll be pure and whole and live with my God above. Closing my eyes at eve and thinking of heaven's grace, longing to see my Lord, yes, meeting him face to face, trusting him as my all wheresoever my footsteps roam, pleading with him to guide me onto the Spirit's home. Oh, for a home with God, a place in his courts to rest, sure in a safe abode with Jesus and the blessed. Rest for a weary soul once redeemed by the Savior's love, where I'll be pure and whole and live with my God above. Thank you again for being here. Love you, Debo.
Okay, your microphones are muted, so you just press the button and unmute. I would like to say my brother is so honest, because that was 3 minutes. And so rules do not apply to him. Wow, what an encouragement to see you today. Thank you so much. What we thought we'd do, instead of getting up here and blubbering, we'd share a few memories of my dad, so that you could hear a little bit about what we saw. And so we just kind of thought, well, we'll just kind of make it a panel, and that way if somebody starts tearing up, you don't have to listen to us making unintelligible sounds. One of the others will take over. So so what I'd like to do right now is just kind of open the floor. We won't take too long here, but what I want to do is just ask this group, who is my brother Scott, this is Caleb, our oldest, this is Landon, our youngest, and this is Lacey, and she's our daughter. And so we're just going to give you a few little tidbits, and I told us, hey, each thing we're going to try to do in sentences, not paragraphs. We're going to try to do just a minute at max when we talk about something, so that people can, don't get bored or whatever with us. But I want us first just a lot of people on Facebook were talking about Dad's faith and about who he was at church and those type things. So just kind of want to open that up and let you guys chime in and tell us what you saw about Papa. What was special about his faith to you? What did you see when he was here? And those type of things. You gotta unmute it, yeah.
I wanted to start off by reading a few years ago, Caleb, the oldest, got Granny and Papa a gift that was really a gift for all of us as well, where we got to read about a lot of their memories, and Granny wrote down a lot of stuff. So I wanted to read about Papa's growing up, his faith, what it was like. And so this is about Papa's, or Don's, mom and dad. And Granny wrote, he and grandmother attended church services at the Primitive Baptist Church, which only met once a month. Papa saw the dedication they had to that Sunday and the joy they experienced from worship, for washing, and sometimes dinner on the ground. But I know later in life, as you probably heard or read in the obituary, he became a Christian, and so I wasn't sure if Dad or Scott Boy, if y'all knew kind of the story to that.
Yeah, Scott, why don't you go ahead and do the first part of that story, and I'll finish it up. Hey, 1 minute.
All right, we're on. Okay. The beginning of the story is the only part that I'd ever heard, so Tim will tell you the second part. But the first part was, my dad always told me that one of the big motivations for him becoming a Christian was after they were married, they moved to Florida, and he had gone to church with Mom and those kind of things he had promised her he would do before they married. But the fishing's good in Florida. And so one Sunday he chose to go fishing. And when he got home, Mom was not happy. And to hear Dad's side of the story, Mom was unrestrained in expressing her dissatisfaction. Maybe a nice way to say it. But that was a wake-up call for Dad, to see the fear and to hear the fear in Mom's voice and to see it in her eyes and to know that she was genuinely fearful that if he had an accident, that he was making a wrong choice. Fishing was not what you did on Sundays, and making that choice wasn't what you did if you were a servant of God. And that was a motivation that opened his eyes.
Yeah, thanks. And a cool story that goes along with that is this guy named Jimmy Davis. And Jimmy's passed away, and his daughter was here at Riverchase, Catherine Rayleigh. And so Catherine, I had no idea the role her dad played in my dad getting to know Jesus. But my dad would go to church with my mom when they were, she said he would go with whoever he was dating, but she took him to her church when they started dating. And Jimmy was an older man, and he took an interest in my dad. And so he talked to my dad. He was always my dad knew Jimmy was his friend. Jimmy was like a buddy to him. So anyway, he goes to Central, the church that planted this one that's no longer around. He went to Central and got to know Jimmy. And then my dad took a job in Orlando. Well, no, he didn't. He went to Orlando to find a job. And so he goes down to Orlando, and they start going to this Concord Street Church of Christ down there. And lo and behold, Jimmy gets transferred to Orlando. And Jimmy starts going to the Concord Street Church of Christ. And Jimmy befriended my dad again and started checking in with him and how's it going and all that stuff. And so one day, I think Jimmy had seen that my dad was kind of stagnant. He wasn't doing anything more with his developing faith. So Jimmy just asked him one day, "Don, do you think you'll ever become a follower of Jesus?" My dad went home that night and he couldn't sleep. Just so happened there was a meeting going on, the old time gospel meetings. The next day my dad was baptized. So us old folks in here, don't quit talking to the young people. You never know what you can do. So that's my part. Anybody else, what did you notice about Papa and faith?
Yeah, for me, I was trying to think of a specific story to kind of encapsulate who he was as a man and his faith and at the church. But how do you put a single story on like the way he made you feel when he was so many people in this room I know had a conversation with him where he made you feel like he cared so much about what was going on with you. I also remember when I was a kid, the first time I led singing at Riverchase. He came over to me beforehand. He could tell I was nervous. And he said, "I'll be on that front row, right where I always am. And as soon as you start, go hear me." And I did. He encouraged kids to lead singing so much that he always was willing. He jumped in right when you started to help you gain confidence He was just always there.
Thank you. Lacey? If you unmuted it, it's on, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move over here, not so you guys can see me, but because I want to see my granny. So I was trying to think of what to say in regards to his faith, and like they all said, it's impossible to encapsulate it in any words. But as I was trying to think about it, I just kept being brought back to so many of you guys' words on comments on Facebook posts and things like that. And so I just wrote some of them down. One of the ones that was commented many times is that he always talked about heaven, he always prayed about heaven, and he always sang about heaven. And he was a faithful man of God, the kindest man, always friendly to everyone, one of the best men I've ever known, an amazing man, a remarkable man, a blessing to many, a beautiful soul, a role model, so loved, so kind and generous, the best of the best, a man after God's own heart, a rock to me in my faith, an authentic smile that filled greetings at church, a true shepherd, an incredible mentor, a faithful man of God, exemplary leadership, kindness in his eyes. And I thought there was nothing better I could say than what you guys have said about him, because I think we all experienced that, and that was part of the faith he showed all of us. So.
So I thought you might give her a round of applause. She did that without crying. Let's go. Yeah, very good.
No, I cried.
Actually, she's crying, but I was trying to give her a chance to wipe that away.
Yeah.
So that was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so we're running short on time. We don't want to keep you here all day. And we are going to have a few more comments. But what I'd like to do while we're up here is allow a couple of let his legacy shine. So you saw my brother, Scott, lead singing, and so we're going to have a couple of his grandsons lead singing here, and songs that were special to him. And so I'd love for you to sing out. I'm telling you, man, my dad could sing louder than anybody I knew. On key. It was beautiful. And so you guys are going to have to help us, because, yeah, we might not make it through some of these verses. So it's up to y'all. So I think next up we have Colby singing. Oh, wow. I love this song. This was special to him. I can hear this song. Do you know my Jesus? And so he's going to sing that. He's going to lead us in that. I tell you, my dad loved it when we stood up and belted it out. So do you mind standing up? And Colby's going to come up here and lead. Yeah, stay here.
I don't feel like it's fair having to lead after that. Have you a heart that's weary, tending a load of care? Are you a soul that's seeking rest from the burden you bear? Do you know my Jesus? Do you know my friend? Have you heard he loves you, and that he will abide till the end? Where is your heart, O pilgrim? What does your light reveal? Who is your call for comfort when naught but sorrow you you feel? Do you know my Jesus? Do you know my friend? Have you heard he loves you and that he will abide till the end? Who knows your disappointments? Who hears each time you cry? Who understands your heartaches? Who dries the tears from your eyes? Do you know my Jesus? Do you know my friend? Have you heard he loves you and that he will abide till the end?
Wow. That sounded like Papa there. Thank you, Colby. Landon, you have the next one. Sing to Me of Heaven.
Well, I didn't know singing could make me so emotional. So, yeah, hopefully we make it through this song together. Sing to me of heaven, sing that song of peace. From the toils that bind me, it will bring release. Burdens will be lifted that are pressing so. Showers of great blessing o'er my heart will flow. Sing to me of heaven, let me fondly dream of its golden glory, of its pearly gleam. Sing to me when shadows of the evening fall. Sing to me of heaven's sweetest song of all. Sing to me of heaven as I walk alone, dreaming of the comrades that so long have gone. In a fairer region among the angel throng, they are happy as they sing that old sweet song. Sing to me of heaven, let me fondly dream of its golden glory, of its pearly gleam. Sing to me when shadows of the evening fall. Sing to me of heaven's sweetest song of all. Sing to me of heaven tenderly and low, till the shadows o'er me rise and swiftly go. When my heart is weary, when the day is long, sing to me of heaven, sing that old sweet song. Sing to me of heaven, let let me fondly dream of its golden glory, of its pearly gleam. Sing to me when shadows of the evening fall. Sing to me of heaven's sweetest song of all.
You can be seated. If there was ever a fitting tribute to a song leader, is seeing grandsons sing and lead. Thank you. So, in the interest of time, I'd like to open the floor for one more reading from the book. And then if you have something you want to say before you're done. And then we'll wrap it up, okay? So the floor is open. You guys, anything you want to share with this group? We'll start with the reading, and if you have a short story you'd like to say, or a short comment you'd like to make, do that.
I'm going to come back over here to see Granny. Well, I have notes on my phone too, but we were kind of, for this one, we were kind of thinking of just how Papa, or Don, however you know him, embodied family and how much he cared about family. And one of the things that I treasure the most, and Caleb kind of already hinted at this earlier, is how he was always there for everything. He was at every sporting event. He was at every award ceremony. He was at every graduation we had, from Helena and Pelham to Searcy to Nashville to St. Louis. He was there. He was at all of you guys' things too. I think I'm looking at Blake. I think of so many of the times he was with Blake and Briley, and he knew what was important, and he was always there, and he made sure we knew that. And we were kind of reflecting on that. And again, pulled out this book, and there's a section in here that says, what is your best advice when it comes to raising children? And this was written to us grandchildren. And it says, this is from him and Granny. It says, I'll pass on some advice my parents gave me when we were raising our boys. Always be there for them. Let them look from the baseball field, the ballet, the swimming lessons, and see your smiling faces, looking on with pride. And reading this, I'm just like, that's what he did. And he taught us all to do that too. So that's my reflection to share.
Well, thank you, Lacey. I'm sorry you did not get applause this time, because there were definitely tears on that one. No. Papa would be very proud of you sharing that and making it through. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll go. I had the pleasure of being the youngest of Tim's children, and so because of that, Papa was already retired when I was young and going to preschool and things like that, so I got to spend many mornings just eating breakfast with Granny and Papa and at their table and getting picked up from preschool by them, and because of that, I just got a lot of individual moments with both Granny and Papa, and I think like Papa taught me how to fish. He taught me about the plants and what a crepe myrtle was and how to be able to identify it, and like many have mentioned, just hearing him whistling and singing all the time. And but yeah, I think, I feel like we hear this a lot, but when I think about my relationship with Papa and like how I would define it, and kind of what Lacey just said of he was present, he was there all the time, and so I'm just so thankful for that.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, for me, I think about his just servant heart. He was so good at recognizing when people needed help and doing whatever he could to help them. I think about family that got sick, that lived on the hill, and he would go take care of the yard work. I think of him making the decision with Granny to come to a Wisconsin mission trip with the youth group. I don't know how many elders would have chosen to spend a week of their summer with a bunch of rowdy kids putting on a VBS for younger, rowdier kids. So, but that was just who Papa was, and it was really neat to have that experience with him.
My turn? Obviously, we could go on, and I don't want to do that. There's a lot of things about my dad. I love my dad. He was a great man. I love that you're here. And so I'm going to tell you one thing that I think is very appropriate for today. That my dad, I don't know how many times my dad said this to me. It was, Scott boy, dry it up or I'm going to give you something to cry about. And it was a lot. But that's my advice to you today. And that would, I think if he saw me blubbering up here, he would probably say it again. So.
Thank you so much. I know this was not the easiest day of your life to be able to share that, but I think it's personal, and I appreciate you guys all sharing what Papa meant to you. I'll close this out with this part, and I promise I'm going to finish the next part pretty fast. In the 1980s, I don't remember when John Henry Genry, his dad, passed away, but he was in the nursing home. And he lost his mind, and he couldn't even feed himself. And maybe it was late 70s. I think it's 80s, so. But anyway.
85.
85, okay, good. So we're going to the nursing home every Saturday. And Dad says, do you want to go? And I'm like, he's my granddad. Yeah, I'll go. So I got to watch my dad live out his faith with a man that didn't know that was his son. And it was really cool. He fed him. He always sang to him, as you will not be surprised by what you've heard. He sang hymns, and he talked to him like he could understand. And sometimes people told me, I like what you're doing with your dad. You and me are kin. And I told them, you should have seen what I saw. So thank y'all for sharing what you saw. He was a good man. We're blessed. So y'all can go back and sit down, and I will not look at you while I finish up. Oh, Caleb, you have something else? Oh, yeah, that's right. Caleb's song is right now. So Caleb is singing. We'll finish out. You can stay. No, I guess they can't sit for this one, can they? It's up to you. You can sit. But man, my dad heard this song later in life, and he was in love with this song. So.
Yeah, Papa heard this song when we got back from a Wisconsin trip one time. And I told him, you should come to Wisconsin and hear it. And he really loved this song. There's a stirring deep within me. Could it be my time has gone? see my gracious Savior face to face when all is done. Is that his voice I am hearing? Come away, my precious one. Is he calling me? Is he calling me? I will rise up, I'll rise up then and bow down and lay my crown at his wounded feet. There's a stirring deep within me. Could it be my time has come when I see my gracious Savior face to face when all is done? Is that his voice I am hearing? Come away, my precious one. Is he calling me? Is he calling me? I will rise up, I'll rise up, and I'll bow down and lay my crown at his wounded feet. Will rise up, I'll rise up and bow down and lay my crown at his wounded feet. There's a stirring deep within me.
Yeah, thank you. It seemed like 20 feet. The water was freezing. We lived in Orlando and there wasn't a lot of freezing things down there. But Rock Springs was a freezing place. You could get in on one end and you could float around and it would come out on this other side. It made kind of a horseshoe shape. And so you get these inner tubes because if you didn't, you were going to drown because it was so cold, you wouldn't float. And so float we did, and we'd come around to the other side, and there's a bridge going over the water. And so you'd hike up the bridge, and I was 5, so it seemed like a hike, but it wasn't, I'm sure. And you get to the top of that bridge, and some people would jump off, but I was 5, and the bridge felt like 20 feet. And I thought, that'll never be me, but I heard my dad. He was in the water at the bottom of that bridge going, jump. And I, in my 5-year-old self, was like, I am not jumping 20 feet down. He said, I'll catch you. I was like, I will not jump. And he was like, come on, Tim, you can do this. And I was like, I cannot do this. And this was a little back and forth with him for a while. And I think we're both competitive, and neither one of us wanted to lose this argument. But my dad lost the argument. I was 5, and the jump looked too big. My mom came to me and she said, "You're doing the funeral." I said, "I've already done this when I was 5. And my dad said, "Jump." I can't do this. But I'm telling you, some of you guys have been praying for me because I've made it so far. And so far, so good. And you should have been there that day and prayed for me. I could have jumped. I didn't know. The lady on the phone said, "What do you want for breakfast?" And I said, "Cheerios and yogurt," which was strange because I didn't eat Cheerios, and nor did I eat yogurt a ton, but it's what sounded good. And she goes, "What about lunch?" And I said, "Grilled cheese." I was 56 years old. I asked for Cheerios and yogurt, and I asked for a grilled cheese for lunch. And for some reason, when I was sick, that's what I liked to eat. She hung up the phone, and I laid back in my bed, watching my oxygen levels drop. That afternoon, the doctor came in, and she said, "Tomorrow, you are going to be going on the ventilator, unless your numbers change." I've been in the hospital for 3.5 days already, and my numbers kept declining. And, you're too sick. You don't really know what to think. But I did think this. I only knew a few people who'd been on the ventilator with COVID, and not one of them came out of it alive. I didn't really want to go there. I was still waiting on the first of our future 20 grandchildren to be born. We're at 6. I wanted to see them. I thought about my wife. I thought about my kids. But I really didn't have time to think much before I would fall back asleep. But every waking minute, those were my thoughts. Here's the deal. It didn't matter what I thought about or what I did. COVID was attacking my body. And I knew I wasn't long for this earth. Sometimes we face challenges like that. Sometimes we finally get it that I'm not big enough. I need something bigger than me. You've been there, right? Or at least you know people that have been there. You face things that you're not big enough for. Maybe it's a parent who said, "Don't do that." And they're still doing it today. Maybe it's a person who's built everything around this career and they downsized. Maybe it's a promise you made. I promise I'm not going to click on that website one more time. And yet you find your finger on the mouse again. Maybe it's somebody who promised you something. But you get it, don't you? You face those issues and you realize, I'm not big enough. The Bible's full of stories like that. The Bible is, from cover to cover, stories where people finally realized This is where we end. I can't overcome this. There was a girl one time, we'll call her a lady. She had an issue. The Bible in the King James Version, if I remember right, said she had an issue of blood. Some of us have read other versions that said she'd been bleeding for 12 years. She heard Jesus was coming to town. And she said, that's where I got to get. And so she did everything she could to get to him. And she thought, if I could just touch his coat, I'll be okay. There's a story in the Bible of a guy who's lame. He can't walk. And Jesus is in town, and he's holding a meeting, a gospel meeting, right? So he's in this house, and it's so crowded. And the guy's thinking, if I could only get in and touch him, but we're in the way. The crowd was huge, and we're in the way. And he had some good friends who said, look, I know what we can do. And they dug a hole in the roof because they knew if I could just get him to Jesus, something would change. So I'm in the COVID room, and she comes in, and they have these blue hazmat suits on because this is 2020 when most people with COVID are not, when a lot of people just aren't making it. And she masks up, and she's wearing the goggles and every way she can to protect herself. And I noticed something about her. I'm like, man, she seems mighty cheerful. And so I look up at her and I say, look, they tell me I'm going on the ventilator tomorrow. Is there anything I can do? No, that's not the first thing I said. Actually, the first thing I said is, you're a believer, aren't you? Because only believers could come in with that kind of joy, doing that kind of job with these kind of people. She wouldn't answer the question. She kept going. But there was that second question. Is there anything I could do? That spurred her on. She's working away. She's making sure the things are working. And all of a sudden I hear, God, you see this man. You said, when we cross to the fire, we will not be burned. Do you see him? You said, when we go to the river, it will not overcome us. You said, God, that it will not overwhelm us. You called him your son. I never heard anybody pray like that. She prayed for me like that for a while. And then she goes, I will bring you something. She was from Africa, in case you were wondering. And she brought me this little machine, and she said, tonight, you work with this. And you inhale on the machine, and it makes the thing go up. Some of you have seen it if you have asthma. I can make it go up about this far. I didn't know how bad it was till I tried it one time when I was having an asthma attack, and I made it went all the way to the top. The nurse came in the night, and she said, you got to rest. Because I was trying to make it work through my effort. She said, you need to rest. I woke up the next morning to the doctor, and she's leaning against the wall, and she said, your numbers took a turn last night. You're not going to have to go on the ventilator today. I was receiving the same treatment that President Trump received, and nothing was happening. And this lady comes in because she knows God. When she prayed that night, I was like, I feel okay. Somebody who knows God just prayed for me. You may wonder, why am I bringing this up at a funeral? Because when we're at our wits' end, that's what we need. When you've watched your dad pass away and you've been beside your mom, you know she needs some people who will cry out to God and who will say, God, you promised. So I'm going to ask my granddaughter, the first of my 20, or 6 right now, but there's going to be 20, to come up here. And she's going to bring her camera. Need help? Once you get your camera ready. This is Randy. She's our first granddaughter, our first grandchild. And she has a camera. And can you go ahead and turn your camera on there? And I want you to get them in your picture. Get as many people as you can. And I want you to take a picture. Thank you. Now take one of them over there. Can you take one while it's coming out? Will it let you? I don't know. No, it's the one, will it? Oh, look. Okay, now take one over there. Thank you. You want to sit in this chair while I finish? Okay, I'll let you sit up here. I wanted Randy to know what Jesus looked like. So one day she's going to look back at these pictures. And she's going to see people that gather when people are hurt. And when she asks her parents, I wonder what Jesus looked like. She's going to see your face. So I'd like to ask one final thing before we stop. We keep walking into a house that is not full anymore. Memories flood our minds. I've heard this. I can't do this. This is too hard. We've been waking up early, not able to go back to sleep. And so I'm going to ask you to do this as we close. In your own way, I want you to pray for my mom. And for the rest of us. Some of you quit praying for me, because here I am tearing up. Keep praying for me through the end of this. It's almost over, I promise. Silently, if you will, call out to God for us. And when you find yourself going through a place that's supposed to have people and maybe it seems a little more empty than normal, I hope it jogs your memory to continue to pray for us. Some of you have been through this. It's hard, you know. So go ahead and pray, and I'll finish this out with a prayer. Before we do it, though, I do need to have a technical announcement. There's going to be 5 people singing as we leave. I think there's 5 of these up here. And there's a mute button on them, so if they're muted, please unmute them. But they've agreed to come sing our final song. So I just wanted to make sure I said that before I left. So give you a second. Close your eyes. Talk to God about my mom. It's easy. Just say something to him about her and for what she needs to hear. For what she needs the strength she needs. Father, as we end this prayer today, it is so great to know you heard every word. You're good. Dad's home. Lead us there. Give us strength. And last of all, I just want to say thank you for showing Jesus today by so many people supporting our family. In the name of Jesus, we pray this. May it be so.
What a song of delight in that city so bright will be wafted in the heaven's fair dome. How the ransom will raise heavy songs in his praise when all of God's singers get home. When all of God's singers get home. Whenever our sorrow will come, there'll be no place like home. When all of God's singers get home. As we sing here on earth songs of sadness or mirth, 'tis a foretaste of rapture to come. But our joy can't compare with the glory up there when all of God's singers get home. When all of God's singers get home. Whenever a sorrow or heartache will come, there'll be no place like heaven, my home. When all of God's singers get home. having overcome sin. Hallelujah, amen. We'll be heard in that land o'er the foam. Every heart will be light, and each face will be bright when all of God's singers get home. When all of God's singers get home. Whenever a sorrow will come, there'll be no place like home. When all of God's singers get home.
Today there will be a graveside service at Curry Jefferson Cemetery. We're on 150, directly across from Hoover Toyota. As you turn to the cemetery, you'll be able to see a tent kind of close to the funeral home. That is the spot that you'll go to. The only tent in the cemetery will be right there. The grave site is actually very close to the funeral home and the chapel, which means as far as parking, you'll be able to pull right into the parking lot of Walston gravesite. We do have a police protected escort. You're welcome to be part of the escort. Turn your lights and flashers on if you're going to be part of the escort to help identify to our protected police that you're in the escort. This concludes everything. You may go to your car, and we'll be leaving shortly. So if you plan to go to the cemetery, you might want to go directly to the